Welcome student. In our today's lecture, we find the Einstein field equation from action principle, that is from list action principle. So in last lecture, we have seen about the list action principle and some results. So we quickly recall what we have seen in the last lecture. So in last lecture, the list action principle, that is we define the action on mechanical system by the integral S, and we denote it by S, that is integral Ta to Tb L dt, where L is the Lagrangian of the system and which depend on Q and Q dot. And we take the point A and B from which the system is moving from point A at time Ta to the point B at time Tb, and it takes any curve, that is it can take any path for reaching A to B. It may take straight line or it may take in this way. Okay, so this is in case when we define the geodesics, which form the equation, that is which form the problem of variation. And in the variational problem, we require that the value of S, that is integrals or variation in S, should be equals to 0. So delta S equals to 0 from this action principle. And we also saw the some types of integral, that is integral on a curve, integral on a two-dimensional surface, integral on a hypersurface. Hypersurface is nothing but our three-dimensional surface in a four space. And the fourth one that we saw, integral over a four-dimensional volume in a four space. And denote the hypersurface by the summation sign and the element of integral as ds for the hypersurface, and the element for the four-dimensional volume, we denote the element of integral by d4x. So we have the relation between the integral from the hypersurface to the four-dimensional volume surface. Okay, so the relation is given by the Gauss theorem, where for any vector ai, the closed integral over ai dsi, that is over the three-dimensional surface, or we call this as hypersurface, is equals to the partial derivative of ai with respect to xi d4x, that is in four-dimensional volume. We have this relation, and on this relation, as we define the boundary condition on Lagrangian system, we define the boundary condition, and the boundary, that is hypersurface, forms the boundary of a four-dimensional volume, and hence we have that the variation on a summation are 0. From this boundary condition, we have this variation on a summation are 0, and we saw the result that delta of under root of minus g is equals to minus half under root of minus g lower suffix mn delta of g upper suffix mn. So we use all these results and relation in deriving or in deducing the equation of Einstein field equation. Einstein field equation from action principle. In deriving the Einstein field equation from action principle, we consider the whole system consists of gravitational field and the matter located in it. That is, we consider the system, containing the gravitational field and it also contains the matter located in it. That is, we consider a system which consists of the gravitational field and the matter located in it. We define the action on this system, since it consists of two parts, so we define the action on this system in a two parts, and we write S, which is equals to 1 upon 16 pi Sg plus Sf. Okay, so we have to derive the Einstein field equation from action principle. So we define firstly the system and we define the action on it, that is S. Since system is consist of the gravitational field and the matter located in it, therefore we take the action S in two parts, Sg plus Sf, where Sg, as the notation implies, this is the action due to the gravitational field, that is Sg is nothing but Sg is action of the gravitational field and SF is the action due to all other field. All other field means matter located in due to radiation. So we define this action due to SF in the form of the energy momentum tensor and the constant 1/16 pi. So we are taking this constant 1/16 pi for the convenience and for the adjustment in solving this equation. So by the least action principle, as the least action principle state that the variation in S, that is in the action, should be equals to 0. So by the least action principle, we require delta S equal to 0. Okay, delta S equals to 0 means delta S, that is equals to 1/16 pi delta SG plus delta SF, that is equals to 0. So delta S is nothing but our 1/16 pi Hg plus SF. So this implies delta of S is nothing but delta of Sg, that is variation in S is nothing but variation in Sg and variation in SF. So we write the equation in this form. We give this as the equation 1. Now we solve for the firstly for the Sg and then for SF. So now we write Sg, which is equals to the, that is we write the action Sg as integral of Lg d4 x, where Lg is our Lagrangian density of the gravitational field and it has the form. So we write Lg is the Lagrangian density of the gravitational field. Where and it is given by Lg is equals to under root of minus g into scalar, where we choose the scalar in such a way that the resulting equation must contain the derivative of gmn no higher than the second. That is, we require the derivative of gmn should be of second order and not higher than that. And since we are choosing here the action, so the action gives us that the derivative of gmn no higher than the first. Hence we choose the scalar as the Ricci scalar. So we choose the Ricci scalar. So here for this scalar we choose Ricci scalar, which is given by R, which is equals to, what is R equals to gmn r mn. In upper suffix we are taking mn, in lower suffix for R we are taking in lower suffix mn. Okay, so for we take this as a equation number 1, we give this as a equation number 2, and here we give this as a equation number 3. So equation, we choose the Ricci scalar for this equation 3 for a scalar in equation 3. So equation 3 implies Lg is equals to under root of minus g into r, right? Now we substitute the value of Lg equals to under root of minus g into r in the equation 2. So equation 2 implies Sg is equals to integral of under root of minus g into r d4 x. Now we take the variation, that is delta of Sg is equals to delta of integral under root of minus g into r d4 x. Now since we are saying here that delta s is equals to 0 but not about the delta of sg, so we calculate this integral. So for calculating this integral, we write this is equals to, we are taking this delta inside the integral, so this is equals to integral of, we are taking delta inside under root of minus g, and the value of r is nothing but our gmn, that is an upper suffix mn, r mn d4x. Okay, now since here we are taking this delta inside and delta is nothing but our derivative, so derivative of this 3 term is here, so we take first term derivative of first and take this 2 as a constant, then we take the derivative of second and first and third as a constant, and plus we take the derivative of third and first and second as a constant. Okay, that is we use the derivative for the product rule, we use product rule of derivative. So this is equals to integral of delta of under root of minus g, that is we are taking the derivative first and the second and third as remain as it is, so rmn d4x plus integral of first and third as it is, so we are taking under root of minus g rmn as it is and delta of gmn into d4x plus the third derivative integral of under root of minus g gmn, that is first and second as it is, and the derivative of third delta of r mn d4x. We denote these integrals as I1 plus I2 plus I3, that is we denote this at first integral as I1, second integral as I2 and the third integral as I3, and we solve these integrals one by one. Okay, so we are saying this I1 plus I2 plus I3. Now we calculate firstly I1, and I1 is nothing but our this one, so now I1, that is equals to integral of delta under root of minus g gmn, we are taking derivative of under root of minus g gmn rmn d4x, so which is equals to integral over delta under root of minus g into gmn rmn is nothing but our r d4x. Okay, and from the result that delta of under root of minus g equals to minus half under root of minus g gmn delta gmn, so we write this result here, so integral over delta under root of minus g is minus half under root of minus g gmn delta of g upper suffix mn, so this r d4x, since by the result delta of under root of minus g is equals to minus half under root of minus g gmn delta of g upper suffix mn, so which is now we take sum, that is I1 plus I2, so I1 is here this one, so integral of minus half under root of minus g lower suffix mn delta of g upper suffix mn r into d4x plus I2 is nothing but our integral under root of minus g r mn delta of g mn d4x. Okay, so which is equals to, now here we can take the common, since delta of gmn is here, so we can take out the common delta of gmn, and under root of minus g is also common here, so we take under root of minus g as a common, so we have integral of under root of minus g in bracket, here it remains rmn minus 1 upon 2, this rmn term, and this minus 1 upon 2 g lower suffix mn, and r is remaining here outside the bracket we take delta gmn and the integral element as d4x. So this is our value of I1 plus I2. We take this equation. For this equation we take the equation number 4, and for this we take the equation number 5. Now after computing the sum I1 plus I2, we compute I3. So to compute I3, we consider an arbitrary variation of connection. That is, we consider gamma of Rmn is vary to gamma of Rmn plus delta of gamma Rmn. So we consider this connection where this implies delta of gamma Rmn, that is delta of gamma Rmn is nothing but the difference of two connection at a point. That is, we are taking this delta of gamma Rmn as a difference of two connection. Connection means here we are changing the gamma of Rmn to gamma of Rmn plus delta gamma Rmn. That is, we are taking some variation in Rmn in addition to the gamma of Rmn. So where delta gamma of Rmn is the difference of two connection at a point, which is equals to the tensor of the type indicated by gamma of Rmn, and by the formula of Rmn, now Rmn, which is equals to minus gamma of Rmn comma R, we are changing this pattern here, that is we are changing the ordering, so it is plus gamma of Rmr comma n minus gamma of Rmn gamma of Srn S plus gamma of Rms, that is we interchange n and s, so gamma of Rms gamma of Srn. So this is our definition, that is of a recit tensor Rmn, and we give this as a equation number 6. Okay, up to 5 is done, so we have given this as a equation number 6. Now in solving this we choose the local Riemannian coordinate system. That is, we have seen this in the Riemannian geometry. You can read about that, the Riemannian coordinate system. So in the Riemannian coordinate system, Gmn, that is a metric tensor, is constant. So we choose locally Riemannian coordinate system in which the first derivative of Gmn, that is a metric tensor, are 0. Since in local Riemannian coordinate system Gmn equals to constant, and therefore the derivative of Gmn is equals to 0, that is Gmn comma r equals to 0, and the derivative equals to 0, then we take all gamma is equals to 0 at the origin of the system, that is gamma of Rmn equals to 0 for this local Riemannian coordinate system, and thus the gamma is equals to 0. Therefore in recit tensor we have the third and the fourth term is going to be 0, and we have only this, that is first and second term is only present, and these terms are going to be 0, because here only state that the gamma is equals to 0 but not about the derivative of that. Okay, so this is equals to 0 implies Rmn is in the form Rmn is equals to minus gamma Rmn comma r plus gamma of r mr comma n. Okay, and all other term are 0 since gmn are 0, and then all gamma is equals to 0. And also partial derivatives, that is all the covariant derivatives becomes the partial derivatives. Covariant derivative means we are taking the semicolon on that. So this semicolon reduces to the partial derivative, that is simple comma. We take the covariant derivative in the form of semicolon and partial derivative in the form of comma, right? So this covariant derivative reduces to the partial derivative. We were going to use this, okay? This happens only in the local Riemannian coordinate system. Now this implies that now we define the term in I3. We have the term Gmn into delta of Rmn. See, in I3 we have the term Gmn delta Rmn. Okay, so we are define the Rmn here. Now we take the variation and multiply it by the Gmn. So we take Gmn into delta of Rmn, which is equals to, we substitute this value here, so G upper suffix mn delta of, in bracket we have minus gamma of r mn comma r plus gamma of r mr comma n. Okay, now which is equals to, now we open the bracket by Gmn, so we have minus G upper suffix mn delta and gamma of r mn comma r is here, so comma means derivative, so this is equals to del by del xr of gamma of r mn. Okay, plus Gmn delta of, this comma n is same as del by del xn gamma of r mr. That is comma is here, comma means the partial derivative. So comma r means derivative of del by del xr of this Christoffel symbol of second kind, and delta of del by del xn of this Christoffel symbol, that is of gamma. So now since we can reorder these places here, so minus Gmn is equals to del by del xr of delta of gamma Rmn plus G upper suffix mn del by del xn of delta gamma r mr. This is because since delta of del by del xr is equals to del by del xr of into delta. Okay, that is we can change the ordering of delta and del by, that is partial derivative and the delta. So which is equals to minus Gmn. Now here we require to take the common del by del xr, we require this n to be equals to r. So we change n to r in the second term. Okay, so Gmn del by del xr delta of gamma r mn plus Gmn del by del xr delta of gamma n mn, and here we are replacing n by r, so it is here, r is here, r is replaced by n. So we are interchanging by n to r and r to n in second term. So we are interchanging n to r and r to n in on the second term. So this is equals to, now here g, that is first derivative of Gmn comma r equals to 0. We are choosing the Riemannian coordinate, therefore which state in which Gmn comma r is equals to 0, and therefore we can write this equation minus Gmn del by del xr in the form, we can take this Gmn is constant, therefore we can take inside the partial derivative, so we can write this, therefore Gmn delta of Rmn is equals to minus del by del xr G upper suffix mn delta of gamma Rmn plus plus del by del xr in bracket gmr delta of gamma n mn. Now from this we can take the common del by del xr from these two brackets, and we have the form g upper suffix mn delta of r mn is equals to del by del xr of minus g mn delta gamma of r mn plus g mr delta of gamma n mn. We give this as equation number 7. Now delta of gamma r mn is a tensor of the type. We can take this tensor in the form of capital letter A R M N. In upper suffix is R and the lower suffix mn. Okay, and hence gmn into delta gamma of rmn. Since mn is repeated here, right? So this get cancelled here, and we have this tensor is of the form, is a tensor of the form of the type. We take this type as BR, that is only R is present, mn get cancelled, so we have the type BR. Similarly, the form of this tensor gmr delta gamma n mn. So here m is dummy suffix, n is dummy suffix. So the form of this is also of the type CR. Okay, so we write the form, that is the form of gmr delta gamma n mn is a tensor of the form CR. Hence equation 7 implies, therefore equation 7 implies gmn delta rmn is equals to del by del xr a upper suffix r, where we are taking this a upper suffix r is equals to br plus cr, because we are denoting this as br and this tensor as c upper suffix r, and the sum of this is we denote as a upper suffix r. So we are taking del by del xr and sum of this as a upper suffix r. That is a partial derivative of ar. And in the Riemannian coordinate, we assume that the partial derivative is a covariant derivative. Therefore, this implies gmn delta of rmn is equals to ar semicolon r. This is nothing but our ar comma r, and in a Riemannian coordinate this partial derivative becomes that is covariant derivative becomes the partial derivative. Therefore we write this as ar semicolon r. Since partial derivative is a covariant derivative, which is equals to, now from the, we use here the definition of divergence. This covariant derivative is also called as the divergence. So what is the definition of divergence? So ar semicolon r, which is equals to 1 upon under root of minus g del by del xr under root of minus g ar. So this is the definition of this divergence. Okay, so we write this by definition of divergence of ar. You can recall this definition from the Riemannian geometry. Okay, so we have gmn delta rmn is equals to this, and we can write, therefore substitute this value in the I3, that is in the third integral. So this implies I3, which is equals to, what is I3 is equals to integral of under root of minus g mn, sorry, g in upper suffix mn, delta of r mn d4 x. Okay, so this we substitute the value of this here, so we get this is equals to integral under root of minus g, and the value of this is nothing but 1 upon under root of minus g del by del xr under root of minus g into ar, and this under root minus g get cancelled, so we have del by del xr of this. Okay, so we write this as, that is equals to integral del by del xr of under root of minus g ar d4 x. And now here the partial derivative of this is a vector, and there is a partial derivative under the 4-dimensional space. Okay, so we change this integral into the 3-dimensional hypersurface. Okay, that is hypersurface in 4 dimension. So we use the relation here that is called as the Gauss theorem. So this is equals to integral over summation under root of minus g ar d summation over r. This is because by Gauss theorem that we have seen in the last lecture. Okay, so we write the partial derivative as a vector into d summation over r. ds is present in the Gauss theorem, but we use d summation over r. So I3 is equals to this, and we know that the variation on the variation, that is if we take the variation of this, then variation should be 0. Therefore I3 is equals to 0 because of the variation, since variation on the summation over r, that is on hypersurface, vanishes. Therefore we have I3 is equals to 0. So our delta Sg is equals to I1 plus I2, because we have delta Sg is equals to I1 plus I2 plus I3, and I3 is equals to 0. Therefore this implies delta of Sg. So then delta of Sg is equals to I1 plus I2, and this is equals to integral over under root of minus g rmn minus 1 upon 2 rgmn delta of gmn d4x. So with this value of delta Sg, we can substitute this value in the equation 1, that is we have delta Sg plus delta Sf equals to 0. So we can write this value delta Sg in this equation. So with this value equation 1 implies, okay, so 1 upon 16 pi, the value of delta Sg is nothing but this. So integral over under root of minus g rmn minus 1 upon 2 rgmn into delta of gmn d4x plus the value of delta Sf equals to 0. Okay, we give this as a equation number 8. Now delta of Sf is equals to 1 upon 2 integral over under root of minus g tmn delta of gmn d4x. We have not seen this. We have not seen what is delta Sf is equals to, that is this is in terms of the energy momentum tensor. We are directly using this result here, solving the Einstein field equation. We prove this afterwards. Okay, so let's see, we have to put the value of delta Sf equals to this value in this equation. So this is equals to 1 upon 16 pi integral of under root of minus g r mn minus 1 upon 2 r g mn delta of g upper suffix mn d4x plus 1 upon 2 integral of under root of minus g t mn delta of g mn d4x, which is equals to 0. Now we can take the common 1 upon 16 pi from this two integral, under root of minus g as a common and delta gmn as a common. So we can write this as 1 upon 16 pi integral of under root of minus g common, in bracket we have rmn minus 1 upon 2 r gmn, and this is equals to, if we take 16 pi as a common, so we can multiply here by, to multiply again in this term we have plus 8 pi, because 2 is cancelled with this 16, so 8 pi is remaining here. So we have multiplying by 8 pi, and under root of minus g is common here, so we have only t mn bracket complete, and in the last we have delta gmn outside the bracket and this d4x, which is equals to 0. And since the gmn are arbitrary, therefore we choose they are non-zero, therefore the integral is equals to 0, implies this term we have taken equals to 0. So this implies, and since also 1 upon 16 pi is constant, therefore we have integral of, since here 1 upon 16 pi is common and in the integral gmn is arbitrary, therefore their variation is also arbitrary, and thus we have this term is equals to 0. So we take this rmn minus 1 upon 2 r gmn plus 8 pi tmn equal to 0. Since this is because since delta of g upper suffix mn are arbitrary. Okay, so from this we can take this 8 pi tmn to other side, therefore we can write rmn minus 1 upon 2 r gmn, which is equals to minus 8 pi tmn. So this, the value of this is nothing but our gmn is equals to minus 8 pi tmn. So we can say that this is our Einstein field equation. Okay, so where the kappa, the value of kappa is nothing but 8 pi. So in deducing this equation we have to find here the value of kappa, so which we can find from the action principle, and we apply the, deriving this we consider the system is filled with a gravitational field or the matter located in it, and so we define S, which is equals to 1 upon 16 pi Sg plus Sf, and we apply the action on that S, so that delta S equals to 0, and thus 1 upon 16 pi into delta Hg plus delta Sf is equals to 0. Then we find firstly the value of Sg, which is equals to the Lagrangian Lg into d4x, and that Sg, from this we choose the Lagrangian as the under root of minus g into scalar, and we choose that scalar as a recessive scalar, and then we apply the variation on that, and we form the integration I1, I2 and I3. Then I1, we take I1, we solve I1, and then we add I1 plus I2, and we compute separately I3, and we use the local Riemannian coordinate to solve the I3, and then we apply the Gauss theorem so that I3 is equals to 0. Then we substitute the value of Sg as I1, delta of Sg as I1 plus I2 there, and from this we solve that equation by substituting the value of delta Hg and delta Sf, and therefore we get here that Gmn is equals to minus 8 pi Tmn, where 8 pi is nothing but constant which is equals to kappa, and this are called as the Einstein field equation. So we write here which are the Einstein's field equations. And this field equation is firstly proposed by Hilbert. Therefore, this is also called as the Einstein-Hilbert equation. Okay, so this is also called as Einstein-Hilbert equations. This is because Hilbert studied the papers of Einstein and he gave the contribution in deriving the Einstein field equation. Therefore, this is also called as the Einstein-Hilbert equation. So we conclude our lecture here. Thank you.